with the actual rendering pipeline. Um, and yeah, I tried some stuff. Not all of it worked. Some of it is a optimization, some of it doesn't really matter. So here we are. So I want to see what happens if I disable the bloom in terms of performance. Yeah, so we're kind of like juggling around. What do you call it? Yeah, it doesn't really improve the stability, but anyway. I'm thinking that it's because I'm running OBS. Anyway, I really didn't get to it during the last episode, but let me see. So I kind of like talked about the bloom passes here being very expensive. Why are they expensive? Well, it's because we are actually processing our bloom effect on the full resolution of our render target. So basically what we want to do is we want to downsample the kind of like, what do we call it? Well, let's see. So in our pixel shader here for our polygons, we kind of like calculate the lights, and we pass it out to a render target that we keep on writing to, not with the vertex shader here, but with the brightness stuff here, yeah, for our emissive, what do you call it? Not emissive materials. Yeah, well, I guess emissive objects. And we want to downsample the second render target, which has the brightness and color value of different objects. Also, I wanted to check, why are we actually not able to do the classical gamma correction here? Let's see, shared. Because it looks weird, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't like this gamma on my screen, at least. Maybe it looks better on your end, but yeah, anyway, Maybe this looks fine. But we do want something that is perhaps a bit darker. Maybe not that dark. I mean, your model here ends up being pretty dark, right? Yeah, it's definitely something that I want to play around with. Yeah, it makes the background look a bit kind of like fuzzy or unclear. This is perhaps better. Anyway, so we got our stuff here, and we want to downsample the brightness texture or render target or whatever we call it before we actually do our bloom passes. A bloom pass is a Gaussian blur in both directions. So that's a blur, but a downsample do work, and upsample would also be not an exact blur, but it would make edges and areas with large contrasts be even more blurry or unclear. So depending on our uh, sampling method, we could end up with something like downsample, Gaussian blur, and then upsample and get something that is quite blurry. Also, if we right now change the texture size by downsampling, whenever we do our Gaussian blur, the kernel will stay the same size. So whenever we use the kernel on the texture, we will kind of like process twice as many or 4 times as many pixels on each direction, and therefore we will get a bigger blur effect of sorts. Um, you could always change the kernel to be something that is proportionately smaller to the actual downsampling value. Right now, if I oops, I didn't enable the bloom. But if we enable bloom here, you see that the blur is not that massive. Yeah, so we could probably, I mean, we could probably even use a bit bigger blur. I mean, for this object here, it kind of like is fine, I guess. Let's change the brightness a bit on it and see how we like that. There's definitely a lot of tuning, but yeah. Wasn't that better? Yeah, it seems like we're getting a more subtle glow, right? It's not as white, is it? Yeah, this is definitely not not very bright. Yeah, and this is just the texture value that we multiply. So yeah, maybe I like this better. It doesn't give a as heavy bloom. You can definitely see the bloom around the edges, but it's not as big. Yeah, I think I like this more mellow kind of brightness because it's supposed to glow a bit, but not very much. Yeah. Anyway, kind of like missing the point here, messing around with the bloom effect. Anyway, we can always kind of like move this, transition this into something that is controllable by setting different parameters. Definitely we want to do that. Okay, so we want to create a pipeline. Anyway, oh, I totally forgot to change the music. Let's see. Let's do a downsampling here. Yeah, we should definitely change some of this stuff. Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff to do, lots of stuff to do. So little time. Okay, we have the bloom passes. Oh, we actually have a duplicate of this one. Okay. Downsample. And let's see, inside our root signatures here, the PostFX, that's the second one. Would we like something like a parameter where we specify our sampling value? Nah, right now we will hard code it and then we will worry about how to control our values later on. Yeah, so a lot of this stuff is like, let's build something, let's see how it works, and then we kind of like postpone worrying about the overall structure for it. But we need a new pipeline. Let's see, D12 PostFX pipeline type downsample. All right. We do the same thing as before. We clear afterwards. We kind of like grab our pipeline here. PostFX, that's fine. Down sample times 2 PSO. Let's see, PostFX. Down sample. Sorry about that if you're sound sensitive. Let's see, we have a lot of pixel shaders here. Vertex shader output, input. And we simply output to one render target, right? We only have one render target. Seems like it, right? Number of render targets, 1. Yeah. That's what we do. That's what we do. Okay. I think for the past one, right now we attach bloom passes, tone mapping. Did I delete the old one? I guess. But we need the PSO. Do we really need anything else? Well, we could control the downsampling. Um, we could control the downsampling from. I'm pretty sure we want to sample with a clamp sampler here. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Pause. Struct. Let's see. Flow 2. array offsets. Is it 3? I think so. But let's just do 4. Hello, buddy. WSG? I'm too old. What's good? Oh, everything's good, buddy. How about you? Right now I'm implementing some downsampling, so that's kind of boring. Um, yeah, I want to fiddle around with a few more post-processing effects, and then I'm gonna return to adding some gameplay stuff. I got distracted by all of this interesting rendering stuff. So let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Positions. Oh, that's interesting. What are you building? Let's see. Let's do something like this. Nice. That sounds really interesting, but also quite hard. Is this better? No. I guess that's fine, right? How far are you on your project? Let's see, maybe like this. Nah, let's do the X component first and then. So first, the current pixel, then the pixel below this one, then the pixel to the right of this one, and then, whoops. Oh yeah, welcome to the channel. I think Streamlabs was lagging a bit. Nice to have you. Okay, so oh yeah, I forgot. This needs to be scaled in terms of the resolution actually. Uh, oh, that's why we want a constant buffer for it, I guess. Yeah, yeah. We want a constant buffer for it. So let's bind that. And this won't map properly. So let's just do like this. It will be way easier. Okay. So this pipeline here also wants the Bloom stuff. Where is it? The Bloom Pass constant buffer. So this one. Do we even use this one? Do I even use it? Or did I just intend to use it? Huh. I mean, it's wasteful using a whole 64 kilobyte buffer on just a few params. Okay, this one will share the one PostFX parameters constant buffer. This shouldn't extend past 64 kilobytes. I definitely wouldn't imagine it would. So maybe. I guess it's nice. Also, these bloom parameters here, width and height. Let's see, are these floats? No, they are ints. Okay, const expression here. Unsigned int. Bloom scale. Bloom downscale. So we scale the render targets. Let's see if we actually do downscaling automatically if we do like this. No, we don't. Or what? Downsample, okay. Yeah, I need to clean this up before we can compile our shaders. Will it? Oh, we're actually enabling Bloom, yeah. So if I scale the render targets down preemptively, how will things go? Huh? Oh, I guess we need to update the shaders. So let's see. Our bloom pass buffer 1. Well, nothing happens then. Okay, let's see. So render target bloom pass. Oh, maybe it's. I know why. It simply doesn't. If I move the object, I think. Okay. No, that's funny. Okay. So if we do something like this, move the tower itself, I think it will get rendered again. Then it's here. I think the downscaling of the texture doesn't help actually uh, carry out the bloom processing. Or wait, maybe not. Yeah, okay. So at least we have a starting point, right? But then, how does it map from one buffer to another? Yeah. And this is the skybox. Yeah, you can see it here in the background. So this is the skybox. This is the first bloom draw call. Seen as texture. And our brightness. Scene brightness texture. It's like this, then it's like zooming in, right? If we zoom in on this and move it, we end up with the sort of same texture. Right now it zooms on the other panel as well, so you can't really compare it. But so if we simply reduce the size of the bloom pass buffers, we end up with something like that. We definitely end up with a smaller texture, and we get a lot of our performance back. But the effect is of course not applied correctly, so we need to fix that. Let's move the tower back. So this is actually fine. we downscale the bloom itself, but we need a pass through our downsampling buffer. All right, and let's see. Let's see. P-pipe. Attach this thingy to the constant buffer here. And of course, in our release function here, if we don't want a crash, we need to yeah, I definitely need to clean up some of this stuff here. We detach the constant buffer. So we use this constant buffer here. The first 256 bytes are for, I'm pretty sure it's, yeah, whenever we upload. Let's see when we upload. When we upload the size of bytes, and it's 160 bytes. So that's pretty fine. We should be wary of kind of like a struct ending up taking 2 slots if we ever decide to change the bloom parameters, but or maybe we just want the to share the this one. Oh, the pass through is actually, yeah, maybe we want to share that one instead. This one. Right now we're not using it for anything, and it's probably gonna map more similarly to other pipelines than the actual bloom pipeline. So yeah, I guess we'll do that. Okay. Right. Constant buffer for different standard PostFX. And right now we are not using it, I think. But let's change this. Oh no, it's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. Okay. And let's see. We have some bloom params. So let's say do a series of downsample 2x params, and we do DirectX except float force here as in our buffer offsets. Let's do 4 of these. Downsample 2x params. Yeah, and then eventually I will have to clean up a lot of different stuff here. Right now it's like somewhat disorganized. Downsample, downsample. Let's see, 0, 0, and then the last components here are supposed to be 0. But at least now they're kind of like controllable. And we of course need to apply the deltas. So whenever we calculate offsets in UV coordinates, we need to apply a delta U and a delta V. Otherwise, we end up sampling the incorrect parts of the texture. This is not needed. DTU and DTU. This is DTV and DTF. Okay, okay. Sorry about that one. And let's upload it. Let's see. Size of downsample 2x params. There we go. So we simply upload our. This is the first slot. I'm not sure we need to do it like this. 64 bytes. Yeah, right now the first buffer is used for that. Current buffer layout. First, no, 0 to downsample 2x params. At least we know that now. So we upload that. Okay, great stuff. So we then take our input.uvs and add our effect data constant buffer offsets.xy. Oh, whoops, not there. Here. And we sample the 4 pixels, and then we simply return color divided by 4. Or rather, let's do samples. There we go. So this is our downsampling. We kind of like sample the first pixel, then the pixel to the right of it, then the pixel that is to the right and below, and then the one below. Now, we could also swap this so that we first take the one to the right, then the one right below, and then, yeah. I guess that's more pretty, I guess, at least from my perspective. Oh, that sounds great, man. I'm sorry, I didn't see your message. So you got your graphics working? That's pretty great. Do you have an example? Feel free to post an image here in the chat, as long as it's verified sources. Otherwise, you can post one in the Discord server. Let's see. Unexpected token F. What is the matter with an F? Who doesn't like a random F somewhere. Okay, so right now we have our downsampling algorithm ready. Let's do a, you know it, render pass for it. Render PostFX downsample. Okay, so okay, let's see, downsample. Here we go, and let's do the opaque one as well. Let's do our command list stuff here as well. Downsample pass. Downsample pass to X. And let's see. Transition, the brightness texture, or in the future, whatever texture we want to downsample. So we can take it from a render target and downsample it. And let's see. We of course want to set it back. Oh, whoops. And we want to reset our stuff here when we get out of this function. Okay, so we are now allowed to actually sample. And let's disable this. Because we will change it. So let's downsample whatever we got here. So let's bind a take our the render target needs to be set here. Let's see. Bind output as render target. And it's just let's see. Let's just copy this. So we set our constant buffer. That's fine. We bind our. I really need some better names for these. An enum. Yeah, this is really, really hard not to get incorrect. So I need some proper naming for it. But I think the descriptor handle, GPU handle 3 is the one that is not render to texture, bloom pass here. Render target 1, yeah, CPU hand, no. GPU handle 4 actually. Oh, wait a minute, it's the input, right? It's the input. So it's actually our custom render targets here up in our render target 1, 2. So yeah, GPU handle, CPU handle on the regular texture heap is number 3. So, and that's what I mean by this is really, really, really hard not to get wrong. Yeah, let's fix it eventually. Right now, I just want to implement this and check out the errors. Okay, so we set the render target to our first bloom buffer, and we simply downsample the texture. And this should be in a render target state. So let's transition it into a shader resource. And we will need to change this bloom stuff here because now our buffers are getting kind of like swapped. So the first one is the one that we will do the horizontal on. Then the second one is into the second one, and from the second one we will do the vertical one into the first one, and so forth. Yeah, so we definitely need to swap that, swap that, swap that. But let's see. Render pass, downsample. Should we call it 2x? 2x. We do it. And let's see how many errors we've created. Ah, definitely one. Huh. How come? Okay. Where do we crash? Where do we crash? Is it during the draw call or is it way before that? It's not here. Okay, somewhere around here. Okay, somewhere in here. Okay, so this one, right? Oh yeah, okay. I know why. It's because it doesn't have one here. So this is render target is handled through that. So this one is correct. Right. Yeah, now we don't have errors. Let's see, does it run? Run, run, run. It runs, but we have some resource that is not. Yeah, let's see. What's the first time we encounter this? Execute command list using draw on command list, blah, blah, blah. Resource state, non-pixel shader of resource. Bloom pass buffer 1 is invalid for use as a render target. Yeah, it's because we actually don't do anything with it. Let's just keep it as a render target. It was a render target before. It will end this pass being still a render target, and it doesn't really matter, right? Okay, we successfully downsampled without getting any errors. It will give us a better separation anyway. So let's see. Bloom pass buffer doesn't contain anything. Is it this one? Okay. Let's see. Downsample texture. Set pipeline. Huh. So we definitely don't get the correct result. We do something. Uh, yeah, okay. I guess what happens if is it because Maybe we want a clamp sampler here. Because, yeah. Let me first just try moving the object and see how we sample. I'm pretty sure we aren't sampling correctly. And that's the problem. Yeah, now you can see we're actually... It's because we never... it was the same thing as just downscaling the actual bloom buffers here. It's because we're not sampling the kind of like correct pixels. So yeah. Yeah, so our offsets are probably wrong. And maybe our sampler here is wrong as well. We are sampling. Let's try. Oh, it's a linear clamp. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. So our offsets are off. Pun in not intended. Or intended. Definitely intended. Anyway, I'm your #1 provider of bad puns. Let's see, maybe divide this by 2. I'm unsure whether that would work. Let's just try for the x coordinate first here. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. No. Uh, did it even change? I'm not sure I actually copied these shaders over. Let's make sure they update. Okay. It's still like we're zooming, but yeah, we're definitely just zooming in, right? So this needs to be offset for each pixel. For each pixel. If I want to sample this on the original texture, And I want to sample this one. And I want to sample this one. And this one. And combine them into one. Which is the thing that we try to do here. If we just do something like return this, what result do we end up with? Huh? No, I didn't save anything. Yeah, so that's basically the zoom. Okay. Uh, maybe we need to center it. Okay. Okay. X, or maybe, no, it doesn't matter. And let's do an incremented index here. And then let's see, float x minus 0.5, offset it, and then DTU here. And float y minus 0.f. Whoops. So this is the way. DTV 0, 0, and this. Right. That's more it. So we start out by creating the yeah, it doesn't really matter the order here. Let's try doing that instead. As our samples. It will center the sample and thereby kind of like move the whole thing. Or doesn't it? Maybe it doesn't. It should at least. Oh, right now. Didn't I disable my... Yeah, okay, right now it doesn't do anything. There we go. We're still not correct. Hmm. Let's see our... Let's do float 4. 4 of these. We don't have any... Oh. Huh? 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 And it's the... Okay. So this doesn't actually get uploaded. Let's see. It doesn't seem so, at least. Huh. But our bloom... what did we call it? This should have data, right? One that is PostFX parameters. So maybe that's the whole problem all along. Yeah, it definitely has data, but this doesn't have anything. It's not my computation, is it? Let's just add some values here that we would see in the debugger here. Nothing. Why is that? Huh. Maybe we want this directly or what? Shouldn't make much of a difference, right? Whoops. Now we have values. Okay, so it doesn't like that kind of reference. There we go. That definitely looks more right. And what about our output? Still doesn't look right. Still doesn't look right. And what about our shaders here? So that's... Oh, yeah. Maybe the viewport needs to change as well. Yeah, I think the viewport needs to change as well. Otherwise, we won't be able to actually sample here. Oops. Whoops. We need a new viewport. Let's do the viewport stuff. Viewport. Let's do DX backend viewport sysrect type downsample 2x. Do, 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 do. Sorry about that. When you got good music in your ears, you gotta whistle. Gotta whistle. Downsampled viewports and rigs. La da da. There we go. P viewport. Top left. P viewport. Top left Y. width equals to the width divided by 2, and p viewport height equals to the height divided by 2, and then the p rect here, left equals to 0, p rect right equals to the thing here. Bottom equals the, and let's see, p rect top could be right. Okay. Stupid puns aside, I think we are ready to set our viewports here. Let's see. I think this is what we need to do. I'm not sure, but I think so. We want a smaller viewport. I suspect we probably need to reset it now. Yeah. We need to reset it back to whatever we had as our primary viewport. But that's not our concern right now. We want to make sure that our okay. Oh, we got our correct result. So yeah, it was the viewport. It was the viewport all along. But I think our sampling is better. Anyway, it's more centered, so at least we got that improved. Okay. So whenever we do our, not this stuff here, we will refactor that, but PostFX. This is the, let's do this. Set our viewport back. And we have our viewport back, and we should see our stuff here. Yeah. Okay, so we reach the state that we want to. Our brightness texture gets downsampled to half the size, or actually 1/4 of the size, and then we can implement a faster bloom pass. And let's do something like void render PostFX bloom downsampled. And let's do constant sign int iterations, which will set as a standard value of 1. Okay. And Yeah, we don't need this. Yeah, I think these passes here should be concerned with setting. I mean, every PostFX pass should be concerned with their own viewport and their own render target. So these regular polygon render passes, yeah, let's do something like polygon based render passes. Shadow mapping sets its own viewport and render targets, or not render target, viewport and depth buffer stuff set to the regular viewport. I mean, we should just be able to call by index, and then we can swap this out. And so yeah, if we do set viewport here, clear buffers, yeah, maybe we want some function to do that later on. Each PostFX pass will handle its own viewports and render targets, but reset state of objects are textures that need to be defaulted to a render target state. Okay. Down samples. Currently, down samples the bloom buffer, or rather the brightness texture into bloom ping pong buffer number 1. Yeah. Let's do final here instead of 3. Let's do final PostFX combine. Okay. And then we want to call this DX12. Let's do 3 iterations. And let's enter the frame here. So we need some kind of like combination of kind of like combination of these things here. So our primary pipeline is the Bloom Pass. Our second, let's think. Now we don't need this anymore because we're not actually operating outside the PostFX pipeline and its internal, or not internal, but its bound buffers. So we can do like this, we can do like this. We should set a, what do you call it? Yeah, let's do this. I mean, just for good measure, each pass should set its own viewport. So these are pre-declared values. These are, oh, we actually do need the opaque one for the yeah, we could kind of like scope this. Okay. Okay. So I think we're mostly set up. Okay. So this should really happen separately. So let's do clear color here, and then actually clear the buffer. RTV handle, whoops. So we clear the buffer here, of course, so it doesn't carry over from frame to frame. And we clear the other buffer in this one. So up here we used the CPU handle 3, then we will use 4 here. Okay. And we will clear the buffer. Let's see, so for up here we will do steal the vertex and index buffers of other pipelines. Clear the Bloom buffer number 2. Okay. I'm unsure whether, no, I think, yeah, I actually think that we want an array here because we're going to swap between these render targets. So even though we're only going to clear the last one here, this is actually correct for this pass here. Okay, so like this. And then we need to do this ping-ponging stuff here. So let's do this stuff here. We will do our first horizontal pass. Let's see, for unsigned int I equals this, I less than iterations, and let's increase it here. So horizontal pass, and we will set our render target to this one. I'm not sure whether, I mean, this doesn't do any, does it do any depth stuff? No, it doesn't. Should it? I'm not sure. Let's see if it winds if we set a null pointer here. And this is, I think this is the next one. Anyway, let's do the horizontal, or rather vertical pass here. Yeah, I think this should be swapped, right? So we do 4 and 3 here. Because right now, no. Are we? Yeah, I think so. Because, yeah, these were offset by 1, I think. Right? No, right? No, I don't know. Okay, so the first time we don't care. Let's see. In here, first bloom buffer. So this one takes the brightness texture and then renders it into bloom buffer 1, and then renders the vertical pass into bloom buffer 2. But up here, we simply downsample into bloom buffer 1, which is number 3 here. And I suspect, yeah, this is 4, and we use that as a texture to, yeah, this is 5, right? Isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it, my friends? I think so. If we go to the for loop here, we, yeah, this is 5 originally, and this is 4. So if we do 4, 5, we swap them. It will be correct. And then it will output into the first one. Okay. And let's transition, but swap them. Okay, let's start out by doing this then. So the first one needs to go from a render target to a shader resource. Then after we do this, the first The first one needs to go from a shader resource to a render target, and the previous one that was a render target needs to go to a shader resource, and afterwards it should go back to a render target. Yeah. And we don't need to do this. Let's see how many problems we encounter by doing like this. We don't encounter any problems, and we even seem to have some kind of bloom effect. Okay. So let's see if it actually works, or it just seems like it works. Let's see. We have a bloom texture here. We have a bloom texture here. Yeah, and of course we need to bind the last one. Right now we're binding the second, or rather the first one. Right now we're binding the second one. But okay, our bloom pass buffer here, our bloom pass stuff here. Did I? Okay, it's up here. So we bind our bloom stuff here. Do we? Okay, so we downsample first. Let's take it all from, yeah, so we clear this one. This is before the clear, then we clear, then we draw from our, or rather we downsample here. This one is way bigger, and then we downsample it, and then we change our stuff here. We clear our second bloom buffer. We set it to our render target, and then we draw into it. Let's see the difference. Yeah, it's a bit more bloomy. And then we swap the render targets and of course draw to this one. Yeah, it's even more bloomy. And then whatever here and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So after we're done with that, let's see. Let's see, we have some GUI stuff. So where do we combine? We combine here. So we set the render target to our thingy, and we draw our scene with the bloom effect. So in this draw call here, we pass in bloom buffer 2, which is not correct because it's not the last one that gets an update. So it's up here. And it even ended up looking a bit more elegant as well. We kind of like had a intermediate step intertwined in the actual bloom buffer. Right now, as long as the input data is in bloom buffer 1, we can run this independently. So whatever content is in Bloom Buffer 1 keeps on getting Gaussian blurred um, with the specified resolution here. Yeah, all of this. Uh, let's do this. And this downsample step here also works as a fine little step. We will of course swap to our final bloom effect texture, and we have our okay, maybe we need to transition resource. Okay, it's because we need to set it. Yeah, we could not enforce it, but yeah, we need to transition this one. There we go. And we have our bloom effect implemented again. Great stuff, and we jumped from about 900 frames per second with the OBS running to very close to 2000 frames per second again. And we minimized our wait for the GPU timings drastically. So yeah, downsampling your bloom doesn't make it seem like an worse effect, but it definitely saves on performance. Yeah, and the settings for the bloom and so forth is something that we're gonna play around with. We do have some aliasing and stuff like that, but yeah, right now we don't have any anti-aliasing, so who cares? Who cares? Okay, so that was kind of like the overall goal for this stream here. Improve the performance of our PostFX chain. Let's see in Paint here. What are our actual timings? So we do spend like some microseconds here waiting for the GPU. Our whole backend call stuff is like half a millisecond. So that's for command list recordings, for different draw calls, and for the PostFX stuff and so forth. That's pretty fine. That's pretty fine. Let's see, since we kind of like reduce the compute stuff of the actual bloom step here. Let's see if we could do execute commands here and then set our what do you call it? We do it in prepare frame, set descriptor heap, and simply fire off the commands set descriptor heap and see if that will affect our performance. This should be setting our viewport. It also sets the render target, so I'm thinking that this would work. Yeah. I don't know, it seems like it's more stable at least, right? Doesn't it? Or is it just me imagining stuff? Seems like it fluctuates more when I don't submit the work in an intermediate step, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, doesn't it seem like it's, or is it just when it's booting up? I don't know. I don't know. But our frame times are good. They're really good, and there are no stutters or anything, so we're running smoothly. Smoothly. Great stuff. Yeah, there's something about the depth checking here on the bloom effect. Maybe we want to maybe we want to override it a bit. Yeah, we can play around with that. Yeah, it's probably doing, yeah. At some angles, we definitely need to handle that better. I'm suspecting it's just C fighting of some sorts, or for the particular pixels. So we could add an offset, we could add, yeah, I don't know. We could do a lot of different things. So play around with the blending. I always kind of like get freaked out when he just walks into space. Looks freaky, freaky. Anyway, um, I would also want to do some kind of like heat effect where the pixels around these heat beams here kind of like move or and get distorted. So my idea is that we take this object here, we scale it by maybe a factor of 1.1 in size, and we render it to a stencil buffer, and then we use our um, downsampled bloom buffer here uh, before the Gaussian blur is applied, and we do some kind of like distortion effect around these things. And since heat kind of like goes upwards, so I'm thinking about like applying an offset of sorts. Yeah, but I think that would be cool. So it was like kind of like obvious that this was emitting heat. Yeah, I've been wanting to do it, so might as well play around with it. But yeah, I'm not gonna fiddle around with it today. I think let's correct the gamma a bit. I still don't like this gamma value too much. Let's see, maybe 4.5 here. Yeah, it looks a bit better, I think. Also, the scene is somewhat dark, so I think that's better. Okay, but I hope you guys liked it. Um, if you found it helpful, entertaining, or inspirational, please consider supporting the channel by liking, commenting, or subscribing. You can also join the Discord server, and yeah, there are different information in the description down below. Um, I think next episode I should probably do something um, more like gameplay related. So actually implement some buildings. I mean, I could do the PostFX effect of the heat waves emitting from the tower, but yeah, when I do rendering stuff, I kind of like get into it and get lost. And goodbye, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, it's always like a balance between doing something fun and new and doing actual work that progresses the project. But yeah, I've been wanting to do Bloom for such a long time that it was kind of like a must. And yeah, the heat distortion thing is probably not too much work, maybe a couple of hours. So yeah, but anyway, might as well do some gameplay until we need some kind of like rendering effect implemented. Thank you, buddy. How nice of you. Yeah, yeah. I think the build system is pretty important. So, yeah, I'm gonna prioritize that. Anyway, please take care. Hopefully, I'll see you on future streams. Keep on trucking with your own projects and feel free to share them either on the Discord server or here during the live streams. I always like to see what people are up to. All right. Bye bye.